We're back for another week here on the Splash Play NBA channel, and it seems like it's going to be a fun NBA slate. One injury late breaking here is going to change the entire slate right before our eyes, but basically a bunch of teams with guys that are out today. Should be really a lot of value to go around, so let's not waste any time here. Let's get into it. I got to get through this, go pick up the kid, come back for the deeper dive on Stokastic at 5:30. So let's get some good basketball takes going. Of course, we're going to sim some lineups today as well using Stokastic sims. At 4:30, we'll hop over to Unabated, get some of the best prop betting markets right now, including building some pick'em slips here, or giving you at least the picks with which to do that. So check that out here at 4:30, but let's get into the slate starting right now. That Cleveland, I don't know if that was actually a cool gesture. I felt like that starting right now. I should have put a little more oomph into it. Cleveland, 122.8 implied points. Chicago, 114.8 implied points. Get a 5-game slate here. Still getting a good amount of ownership for Cleveland. I am not as high on Donovan Mitchell today. I've got him really low based on how he's been performing so far this year, where the usage is there, rebounding not there, assist rate not there. Even the shooting could be a little bit better for a star player like Donovan Mitchell, but he will be 23% owned today, according to Stokastic. Also, I didn't update the basketball thing. Man, whenever I had to update my data right before the stream because they snuck in one little ownership update that's very important to see. So I did not get to do all of the production prep work I would like. There we go. There's the basketball. Now we're cooking. So Mitchell today, not one of my preferred plays. He will be owned by about 1/4 of the field, so keep that in mind. Evan Mobley looks better to me. Usage has been up for him. Rebound rates have been up for him. Been dominating the ball a little bit more with 1.25 fantasy points per minute so far for him on the year. I got him at 1.3 fantasy points per day. Today he's going to be 30% owned. Price tag at 7,600 is not my favorite thing in the world. Power forward center eligible does look pretty good, though. So Evan Mobley in play strongly, I would think. Darius Garland looking good as well. $7,100 salary for him. He's been benefiting from Donovan Mitchell not quite being as ball dominant. Garland this year, 32% assist rate, 26% usage rate. So basically possessing the ball about 58% of the time he's on the floor. And a lot of that is Donovan Mitchell kind of ceding that opportunity to him. So Garland more of a true point this year, not having to give every single possession away to Donovan Mitchell. One of the things that I think has held Darius Garland from reaching his true potential was my concern really that Mitchell does such a black hole, a vortex of trying to get up his own shots. For Garland, he's actually getting to be a player who actually is controlling the ball more at the point of attack. So I think it's a good sign for him overall in terms of his development. And also, again, at 7,100, I think he's got decent upside today at 17% ownership. Jared Allen, also a good play at 6,900, just center only, but a 36.5 projection for me, 35.9 for Stokastic, 5.3x value is what you're getting on that. 15% ownership. He's been rebounding at a good clip. Chicago, not very good. Plays with more pace. Also missing a good amount of shots. So for a guy like Jared Allen, could really rack up the rebounds today. The issue is that Mobley being more aggressive maybe takes a little bit off the plate for Jared Allen overall, but I've got him at 1.19 fantasy points per minute. And I believe he was in the lineup I built before the show. Chicago, on their side, 114.8 implied points. Nobody here looks good, so we could save some time on this part. Jalen Smith, playable. I believe he's still currently questionable right now. Jalen Smith produces fairly well per minute on slates where there's not really any value. That $3,800 salary is going to look pretty good. That said, on this slate, we have enough other values to go to. In particular, Houston is going to open up a lot. So Jalen Smith, 4.5% ownership. Playable if you want to try to get unique, but hard for him to get a true ceiling, given the fact he's projected for 16 minutes, and even that might be like the ceiling of minutes he's going to get. Besides that, everybody else here doesn't look that great to me. A little bit lower on Vooch than Stokastic is at 39.1, but even with their projection, he wouldn't be the most playable in the world. Zach LaVine, close to playable, but even that doesn't look that good. Chicago is just, to me, not really as good of a team as Cleveland. Pace down spot as well, with Chicago playing at a high pace, Cleveland playing at a lower pace. Nothing to really love here on Chicago's side, in my estimation. They kind of need one guy to be out or just to keep this performance up. So the salaries come down a little bit more. Right now, these guys are kind of a little bit high priced. Maybe partially reflecting the time where Zach LaVine was out for a few games there. Washington, 108 implied points here. Washington's going to look a lot less appealing today because they are priced for a few weeks without Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma, though, apparently going to be back in today. So projected for 29.2 minutes. I don't have him that well projected. I think as a result of Kuzma coming back in, a lot of guys been getting decent usage. Bilal Coulibaly, only 18% overall, but has been a little bit higher when Kuzma's been off the court. He's going to lose a little bit. Jordan Poole, who's been very ball dominant, he's going to lose some usage as well. So Kuzma coming in kind of upsets everything here. Jonas Valanciunas even, a guy kind of has to be just basically sucking up every point, every rebound during the stints he's on the court. Having Kuzma out there is going to make that a little bit harder for him to get there. So nothing I like here. Nothing here over 5% owned besides Jonas Valanciunas. And even that feels, frankly, inaccurate to me or incorrect in terms of that play. Nothing here to really love on Washington. It is not a good spot. It is a pretty big pace down as well. Playing at a 103 pace on the year. They're playing Houston, who's at a 97.9 pace, and I don't think speeds up without Fred VanVleet today. So for Washington, with how they're looking right now, I don't think a single play here would look that good. If you got them in 150 sets, whatever. But besides that, just hard to like these guys, these current price tags with Kuzma coming back in. Houston, 121 implied points on their side. So no Fred VanVleet, as I mentioned, very high total for them as well. That all looks good. Alperen Sengun, I am lower on him than Stokastic is. Stokastic has him just shy of 50. So if you are playing with Stokastic projections today, you're probably going to get a lot of Alperen Sengun. He's projected for 61% ownership right now. Looks like one of the top plays in the slate according to their data. According to my data, still looks good for the most part at 42.7, but I won't be cramming in Sengun. That said, in the one lineup I built for the big tournament before the show, I think I had Sengun and Jared Allen. I'm going to run my stuff again before the slate locks, but for right now, Sengun was still a good enough play for me at 42.7. Again, if you're using Stokastic data, though, he looks like he would be like borderline a lock button play, and obviously nothing really is ever a lock button play. Jalen Green, I have a little bit better. I'll be playing him with Sengun, in at least the lineup that I built before the show. The 150 set that I got as well before the show, I think had a good amount of Jalen Green as well. Let me just make sure about this. Yeah, Jalen Green got 30% of the time. Sengun got 45% of the time. Not my highest exposed Rockets so far based on the 150 set I built. But overall, both guys look like key plays to me. Jalen Green, I think, will play point a little more directly without Fred VanVleet out there. It was basically what he was doing in the beginning of the year, where it was kind of alternating. Green would bring the ball up, then VanVleet would bring the ball up. When Green had the ball in his hands more, obviously he can start the action a little bit more. So he's had historically in court time without VanVleet going back to last year, 31.5% usage, a 20.1% assist rate, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. And that's all the court time without VanVleet. So that's not like a small sample size thing. It's everything going back to last year. So for Jalen Green, people are going to go to Sengun a lot. To me, I think Jalen Green, more of a tournament play at 21% ownership. And frankly, he seems under-owned when everybody else is going to be this high-owned. Amin Thompson, who's not really going to be the direct backup or the direct beneficiary of Fred VanVleet minutes. He's going to get more minutes, but he's going to be played a ton because that dual position eligibility, shooting guard, small forward on DraftKings. 80% protected ownership for him. Excuse me, I have a cough. Besides that, Tari Eason projected for a good amount, 45%. I think he looks like one of the stronger plays as well. Has put up a little bit more production in terms of court time without Fred VanVleet or VanVleet being out of games. Dylan Brooks gets more court time as well, 31 minutes projected for him. He's only got 23% ownership. Point being tonight, matchup against Washington, it is a back-to-back for Houston as well, but doesn't really matter. The spot's too good, the matchup's too good. Not having VanVleet out there opens up conservatively like 40% of the possessions. If he's kind of getting himself going a little bit more, which he has in recent games, could open up like 50% of the possessions, maybe more. So it's a lot more to go around for everybody else here. All the Houston players look good. Washington can't defend anything. Really the primary things here. Lots of Houston today. Rockets in your pocket. Okay, Steven. I'm glad to hear about the Rockets in your pocket. But yes, I think to me, look, Amin Thompson's the one I'm the least, I think, interested in overall. I got him 16% compared to the field's 80% ownership. So have him still pretty well projected at 30.2. But there are other plays for me that look better. I'd rather have Easton, who does project a little bit better at slightly lower salary. I've got him at 31.2 projection compared to 30.2 for Amin Thompson. I also think Reed Shepherd, excuse me, whose minutes just came down a little bit from Stokastic. If he gets a start, he's going to be a compelling play. Reed Shepherd's basically been the direct backup for Fred VanVleet. Whenever VanVleet's off the court, it's usually Shepherd coming in. Currently, it looks like they don't have him as a starter. I think they have Amin Thompson being the starter here based on this run of minutes. Or at the very least, they have Reed Shepherd being the ceremonial starter but not getting real run. If Shepherd, you put him at 25 to 28 minutes, he looks a little bit more playable. He's been pretty awful to start the year, 51.5% true shooting, only 0.67 fantasy points per minute. But he did play pretty well in the preseason and summer league. I think Reed Shepherd might have put up triple-double league kind of performances, if not literal triple-doubles. So if he were to start at 3,100, I think it's a pretty compelling play. And he would also get you some leverage on Amin Thompson. That said, if he were to start, he'd probably be pretty highly owned because he's basically the minimum salary and, dual position eligibility at point guard, shooting guard. So it's an important one to watch right now. I presume, again, with Stokastic's data, that Amin Thompson is the expected starter. That's basically it. We don't want to overweight on the pay-ups. We'll get to it, but Brandon Ingram's probably my number one right now. really aren't any big superstar plays to play today. I'm low on Wemby by a pretty wide margin, but we'll get to that game when we get there. Brooklyn on their side, 106 implied points. New Orleans, 104.5 for them. Ben Simmons in this game, so Dennis Schroeder going to look a little bit less good generally. On New Orleans side, no Zion, no DeJounte Murray. You get Trey Murphy back, but no Jordan Hawkins as well, so a good amount of minutes to go around for them. As a result, so let's talk about the Brooklyn side. Not a lot to love here. Ben Simmons, I think, can fit in some lineups. 24 minutes, though, is a little bit low. Really hard for him to hit a true ceiling in that amount of time. He could probably get you high 30s in a good situation. I think at 4,800, he's a little bit more playable, but 12% ownership. You don't really need to go more than that. Besides that, Cam Thomas, kind of an interesting tournament play, but really the projection's not too great on him. $7,200 salary, though. He doesn't really get affected as directly as Dennis Schroeder does when Ben Simmons is in. When Ben Simmons is in, he basically kind of kills Schroeder's opportunity to be the dominant point guard who controls all the assists, all the upside, drives the offense. Whereas when Ben Simmons is in, he maybe sometimes creates a few more shots for Cam Thomas, takes the ball in his hands a little bit more, but not really because he's not really getting up his own shot is Ben Simmons. So those two guys kind of play differently where I think Cam Thomas still in play, but really not a priority for me. Really nothing on Brooklyn would be. Again, Simmons works in some lineups. If Finney Smith were out, you get a few more minutes on the wings, so maybe Jalen Wilson would become a little bit more playable. Zaire Williams, I suppose, could be as well. Would watch for that one because Finney Smith is basically the only questionable player right now that actually matters. Besides that, you're looking for who's starting for Houston at point guard. Everything else kind of has already been decided on at this point. New Orleans on their side. So once again, this did not work out well on Friday's video. So Zion Williamson ended up going out. Actually, I don't know if it was on the video. I think I talked about it, but ended up putting in the VIP Discord for the Splash Play channel, which you get by joining the Splash Play NFL channel if you want to get access to that. I mentioned in there, like, hey, Zion's out. I think Brandon Ingram's a smash play. Brandon Ingram in that game had the poor run out of all poor run out. Basically picked up 3 fouls in the first half. Also shot like shit. Orlando defended him very well. He historically does a lot better in court time without Zion. The rates for Brandon Ingram in court time without Zion in the past, he's averaged, and this is just this year, 37% usage, 34% assist rate, 1.24 fantasy points per minute. I think I have a tab with it open for the longer term sample size. And then for the longer term sample size, going back to last year, court time without McCollum, without Zion, without Jonas Valanciunas, he's played 474 minutes. Again, 37% usage, 39% assist rate, 11% rebound rate, 1.4 DK points per minute. So for Brandon Ingram, he's a player that doesn't project as well for Stokastic. I have Ingram at 48.7. They've got him at 43.1. 25% owned by the field is projected ownership. I like Ingram a lot more. So he didn't hit on Friday. It didn't work out. I think chasing it today does make sense in a matchup against Brooklyn where they have some good wing defenders for sure, but nothing here is really going to spook you off of Brandon Ingram. And you kind of should be able to dominate in the half court. The issue is the total's not that high. The pace is not that high. That's sort of the biggest flaw for Brandon Ingram as I see him. Besides that, Alvarado looks like a key play to me as well. 35% ownership going his way. 40.1 is my projection. I've got him a lot higher than Stokastic. His rates basically, much like Ingram, take a pretty big leap when there aren't the other guys there who take possessions away. Without Zion in there, without McCollum, even without Hawkins, just a lot of room to go around for these guys to get there. So it could happen again where the team is just undermanned and not good enough to hang in there like they were against Orlando on Friday. They ended up kind of hanging around, but then the game got away late again. It could happen again, but I don't think Brooklyn's good enough to pull away from him. So I like Ingram. I like Alvarado. I like Brandon Boston at 15% ownership. He's projected for 36.2 minutes by Stokastic. The one concern point is Trey Murphy coming back in. Stokastic has him playing 23 minutes. If he were to start, it would certainly increase the potential minutes load for him. Probably wouldn't make him playable still, but it would hurt the run out for Ingram a little bit. It would definitely hurt the run out for Alvarado and Boston. But Murphy's one to watch. If he's not starting, though, I think I'd feel pretty okay loading up on Ingram, loading up on Jose Alvarado, and loading up on Brandon Boston. We're a miss on Friday. Again, I wouldn't say it was a miss for basketball. Like, he still had the usage. He just didn't hit in the way I wanted him to hit. But Ingram, that is what it is. Besides that here, Robinson Earl was another guy I swapped to a little bit because all the vacancy left in the Pelicans. The reality is kind of still have enough guys to play minutes left. You see, you have basically 10 guys projected to get minutes here. When the biggest beneficiary of minutes comes is when you have, like, you had Zion rolled out. Let's say you have McCollum rolled out, you have Murray rolled out. And then you only have like let's say not a 5-man rotation, but like an 8-man rotation would really be where you want to hit. That's where you kind of get the full upside of these guys being out. Unfortunately, the Pelicans just kind of still have enough bodies to rotate in. So it's probably not as good of a spot as I'm projecting for Ingram and Alvarado, but these guys do dominate the ball the most in the team, and everybody else just kind of does nothing else on the court, basically. Ingram's just got to hit his shots. The usage is there. I mean, that's how I feel about it. And, that's part of why, too, like, yeah, it didn't work out on Friday, and it sucked because he was like 10% owned on Friday. Would love to get him at that. That said, the fact that it didn't work out the last time it happened and Zion was out for that game, I think it takes people off the set a little bit more. So Ingram, to me, at his price tag, like, I think you can put up in the 50s. I'd say he's got an outside shot at hitting 60 as long as the game aligns correctly and he hits his shots. He does assist well, too. Like, he does a little bit of everything more when Zion's not out there. So I think that's a big benefit for him. And I'm a believer again, and he's got point guard, small forward eligibility. So feels pretty good to me. But if Murphy starts, probably knock him down this much at least, even though still would be a good play. Clippers, 106 implied points on there, and OKC, 112.5. OKC losing Chet Holmgren to a broken hip bone. I think it has like a stupid name, like the wing is involved in it somehow. Murphy coming back makes Boston interesting to me. I mean, look, it just depends on what the minute projection is. Like, if you're giving Boston 36 minutes on the wing, because remember, you have like still have Hawkins minutes floating around too, and McCollum minutes. That's good. But if you have Murphy getting 30 and Boston then getting 30 to 28, somewhere in that range, I did that backwards, then he would look like a less good play. But with how they're projecting him right now, I think Boston still looks good. I mean, Clippers on their side, James Harden, to me, always a valuable play. On these slates, people have not really adjusted to the fact that he's back to old school James Harden now that there isn't Kawhi out there. Kawhi is going to come back in at some point. I feel like we're supposed to get him back already. But we have right now Harden projected for me, 52 fantasy points. Stokastic lands at 47. He's only 6% owned. Against OKC, who now really does not have anybody to defend the middle in particular. I think Harden looks good. Zubac cleaning up and rebounds here. Again, no true center left for OKC. I think Zubac is a strong center play, 6% ownership for him. Norman Powell, probably the one I'm least into, but I still have him projected pretty well. 37.5 fantasy points today. Salaries come up, though, a lot to 7,300 for him. He's getting good usage, 1.07 fantasy points per minute on the year. Today I would have him at 1.09. Those are the main Clippers for me. Kevin Porter not getting enough work. Derek Jones not getting enough work. Porter per minute, though. At some point, Harden's going to be out, and Porter's going to crush. A high usage, high assist rate guy, just not shooting well and not getting enough minutes. But at some point, Porter will be a player that wins a slate. Besides that, yeah, Clippers-wise, nothing here. Zubac, though, I think a very good play. Powell, an okay play. Harden, a more interesting play than I will probably get. I don't know how much Harden I got in the sim, but I am curious to see it. Because I know I'm higher on Harden generally. You Harden projected for 6%. I got 21% in a 150 set of lineups. So I would be there on Harden if I were putting in more lineups. Took Zubac over 12.5 boards. Feels like an aggressive line. I mean, I would have Zubac today at 12. So, counting for the standard deviation, that's probably not bad. We'll see what we look at unabated because I'm sure the rebound line for Zubac will be in there if nothing else. OKC, 112.5 implied points on there. And so no Chet Holmgren opens up a lot of opportunity left behind here. A lot of minutes, which are going to probably get gobbled up by just smaller guys on the wing. So when Holmgren went out last game, they just brought in Isaiah Joe, basically played small. They had Ousmane Dieng playing a little bit of center besides that, but it wasn't enough where he's going to be a valid play. He's also been okay on the year, 0.96 fantasy points per minute. If Dieng were to somehow start, he would be an interesting play at 3,100. Not a high usage guy, but he does rebound an okay clip, assist at an okay clip, and they wouldn't have to put a center in, but it's possible they could go his way just wanting to match up with Zubac. So I would highlight that now. The expectation based off of last game would be Isaiah Joe picking up the start. I think he also started the second half in that one as well. But if Dieng were to pick up a start here because they're worried about Zubac, Zubac would become a slightly worse play, and Dieng would become a valid value play, which we'll know before lock, too, because all these games start at 8 p.m. So not a late swap thing, but Dieng starting is one thing I'd watch out for. Always take Zoo rebounds on first quarter, usually better odds to rack them up. Fair enough. I don't know. I don't know enough data on that feels more a little old wives' tale-y, but he does get them in batches. I will say that about Zubac. SGA today looks like a good play, though. I've got in a 52.8 projection. Stokastic has been 52.3, 25.5% ownership for him. Him and Harden, I think, look like both equally solid plays. I'd probably favor Harden, given that he's a little bit cheaper, and I got him at 52. But the ceiling in this kind of spot, if the Clippers stay competitive, is a little bit higher for SGA. And it's not having one more guy taking usage away is going to make SGA probably a little more valuable than it would seem, though. For what it's worth, SGA's rates, I don't take that big of a jump up. Actually, no, that's not fair. He's actually at 39.9% usage and a 31% assist rate with Holmgren out. The issue is his assist rate comes down a little. The usage does go up enough. So There is a ceiling for SGA. He can put up 70 today, but he's going to be 26% owned, so keep that in mind. Jalen Williams, we saw him put up 60-something last week when I pointed out his rates. He's been pretty good overall. The numbers don't take a gigantic leap up in terms of usage like Shea's do, but he still gets about 29% usage and a 27% assist rate along with 1.3 fantasy points per minute in court time without Chet Holmgren. So Jalen Williams, a valid enough play. I got him a little bit in some sim lineups. Got him 25% of the time. SGA got 30% of the time. So I'd favor SGA, but I think that Jalen Williams didn't play enough. You can see here, I've got pretty good value projections on Dort and Wiggins. Two guys on the wing with dual position eligibility that come up pretty well for me. I'm actually getting Wiggins 53% of the time in the sim that I ran with 150 lineups. Dort getting 45% of the time in that same sim. Just a dual position eligibility for that's also pretty good. So for these guys, I think that there are not the highest ceilings in the world, but the positionality works pretty well. Kenrich Williams is available. I don't think we have a minute projection on him. Let me see. He might not be in the rotation at this point. Yeah, they've got him. Stokastic has him for 13.6 minutes. Hard to really see that impacting things too much. You got a lot of minutes floating around now with Chet Holmgren not available today. But it does matter, I guess, the faint amount, but I really wouldn't care that much about Kenrich Williams at this point. Great guy when he's getting a full run of minutes and he's a starter, but otherwise, not anybody to worry about. Maybe a slight potential impact on Wiggins and Isaiah Joe, I guess, but even that. Wiggins and Dort, again, look the best to me. Dort can play a little bit fake center, I guess. It's going to be weird for OKC, though. I think they're just going to do 5 out, basically, and try to treat it that way because they really don't have any centers left. Besides Jang, and Jang himself is really not worth putting out there for court time. So unless Jang starts, I would just treat it like they're going to probably go 5 men out and just treat it with more Wiggins, more Isaiah Joe. Probably not more Kason Wallace, more Dort for sure. Thing that slows you down are fouls and rotations. The small lineups usually play as 10 minutes. Okay, sure. You got a logic. I'm not going to begrudge it. I just tend to look at the overall a little bit more and not get too micro on it. Sacramento, 110.8 implied points here. And then we look at some sims, both on Unabated and Stokastic. Sacramento on their side, all these guys look pretty good as well. No Malik Monk today is going to open up some usage go around for all these guys. So it kind of makes these guys all look slightly more appealing than they would. Salaries were not accounting for Monk to be out today. You got Domantas Sabonis. He does look better for Stokastic, 48 compared to 47.1 for me. An 18% ownership going his way. I think a good play. De'Aaron Fox, I think, works better in the lineups that I was building before. 37 minutes projected for him. All these guys projected for 37.4. They're getting pretty good court time, so they're all very much in play to have the upside here, assuming the game against San Antonio gets the full run out. Just getting those few extra minutes can mean the difference between, honestly, 6 to 10 fantasy points. Depends how it goes. So very high minutes projections, always something to highlight here, and the Kings have them in spades overall. Keegan Murray looks like the best one to me overall relative to the Stokastic projections. I've got him 6.4 fantasy points higher. His rate's been pretty good without Malik Monk. I think just having that extra usage floating around, it just kind of flows back to Keegan Murray. You can hit some outside shots, can find his own shot a little bit. So Keegan Murray, just power forward eligible. If he were small forward, power forward, I'd probably have him a lot more. But as is, I'm still getting him in about a third of my lineups compared to him being 9% owned. So Keegan Murray, to me, a very quality play. Kevin Huerter gets a little bit more run, a little more opportunity with Malik Monk not being out there. He's going to be 18% owned. Huerter, I got 27% of the time the sim I ran before the show. Think he's a fine play. I would certainly favor Keegan Murray, but I think they both perfectly valid plays. San Antonio, so tried to kind of maneuver my rates out a little bit to figure out why I'm so low on Victor Wembanyama, but I've got him at 46.2. So Stokastic is at 52.3. He hasn't really benefited from Jeremy Sohan not being out there. I don't get why that would be, given the fact that Sohan was really soaking up a lot of usage, but the usage that was floating around for Sohan is not just flowing Wemby's way, unfortunately. He's still capped at 29% usage on the year, rebounding an 18% clip, assisting 13%. 1.42 fantasy points per minute is pretty good. He's just not really in that Giannis tier, that Luka tier, that that Jokic tier. Absolutely, when he's hit 2 fantasy points per minute, we're not really getting there, especially on DraftKings scoring. We're on FanDuel, Wemby getting those blocks the steals and blocks, but in particular the blocks, that can add up really fast for you on DraftKings. It can add up, but unless it's giving you a triple-double or that's making you a double-double, like that's not really adding a ton of value, even though you're never going to look blocks in the mouth and be mad about it. So Wemby's just not that great of a play to me. Having Vassell back in doesn't help either. Vassell, 33% usage to start the year for him, 20% assist rate. So he's taking about 53% of the possessions when he's on the floor away. Not going to shoot this well forever with 76% true shooting to start. But it's another body out there getting shots up when Wemby was already not getting enough shots up. So I'm low on Wemby. Nothing else in the Spurs like that good. I think Vassell being back in, even with 23 minutes, upsets the apple cart a lot for pricing. So that's basically that. Any chance Stokastic is higher on stocks for Wemby? I can look at it, but I don't know. It's probably more of a usage thing if I had to guess. My usage is going to count more for stuff that he's performing this year. Basically, like I weight the per 100 numbers for this year a little bit higher, and I weight the usage rates higher. I just take this year's usage rate instead of the longer term sample. So that's probably the main difference. But I've been low on Wemby in general. With some players, I'm just low on. It's just kind of knowing your own projections and what comes along with them. All right, let's go to this Stokastic Sims, and then we'll run some unabated Sims after that. We'll do a quick run here on Stokastic, generate the contest. NBA, 5,000 lineups, and we'll have them compete 10,000 times here based off of Stokastic's projections. And I do for my data. I do use my own data, rather, for my sim exposures and all that. When I mentioned my sim exposures on here or on Stokastic, I'm talking about kind of a blended number that includes my projections on their sim product. But here on stream, we'll just see what their numbers give us. If you appreciate this content, guys, too, hit the like button, subscribe. Of course, new videos Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. every day. Thursday even, it's going to be a one-game slate. I'll still hop on here and then. So, hey, that's the promise here on Splash Play NBA. Of course, presented by Unabated NBA, $30 off, and Stokastic, 15% off. Link in the description for both those products. I'm showing you Stokastic right now, though. All right. Here's our players in the player pool, and let's get them going. But yeah, today, I think my biggest differences in my data and what I'm getting from Stokastic is I'm definitely higher on Ingram. That's a big one. I'm higher on Keegan Murray by a good amount. I think that is a portfolio-defining play for me to some extent. I am definitely higher on the OKC wings, just have them absorbing a lot of the peripherals that are going around right now for Chet Holmgren. I'm way higher on Nick Claxton for some reason. I got Nick Claxton in 36% of my lineups. Not really sure why that would be. I actually got a lower projection for Claxton too. I don't know why that would possibly be the case. I'm way lower on Amen Thompson. I'm currently substantially lower on that. Not sure about the how and why of why that would be, to be honest, because my projection is not that far off. I have him at 30.2, but 2 points less compared to Stokastic. And I think having Tari Eason projected higher is really throwing that off. Those seem to be my biggest stands so far. Much less Donovan Mitchell, but that doesn't really matter. Let's see what the sim is going to give us. And again, later today, 5:30 on the Stokastic YouTube channel with Josh Engelman doing the deeper dive. So we'll have some different takes there. Josh will keep me in check. Tune into that one at 5:30 coming up right after I go grab my kid from daycare. All right, your top ROI lineups right now based off Stokastic data. You got SGA, Amen Thompson, Dylan Brooks, Aaron Wiggins. So we are getting some Wiggins here. Nick Claxton, De'Aaron Fox, Tari Eason, and Alperen Şengün. Şengün looks like a monster play according to Stokastic data with a 50-point projection. Number 2 lineup, Reed Shepherd. So if he starts, he's going to look a lot better. Probably gets a little bit chalkier. Honestly, probably a lot chalkier. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Evan Mobley, Nick Claxton again, SGA, Wiggins, Şengün. So I guess their Sims is like Claxton more. Something to note. SGA, Amen Thompson, your number 3 ROI lineup. Dylan Brooks, Aaron Wiggins again, Şengün, Isaiah Joe, Tari Eason, and Wemby. Wemby makes this lineup. Number 4 ROI lineup is Stephon Castle, Cason Wallace, Brandon Boston, Tari Eason, Şengün, Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, Wemby. It's a lot of dog shit players on the wing to be able to afford Wemby and Şengün and Jalen Green. I think our lineup's kind of shitty in this part, to be honest. SGA, Dort, Dylan Brooks, Eason, Jonas Valanciunas, Fox, Amen Thompson, Şengün. So the need to get to Şengün really, I think, steering the entire lineup so far. If Jang and Shepherd both start, the slate will be wild. Yeah, the issue is like both guys, you can make the case to fade entirely if they were going to be really chalky. Like Reed Shepherd's producing like 0.6 fantasy points per minute. Jang's producing 0.96 on the year. Jang starting would be a big one, though. The issue is like it'll take you off of pretty good center plays. You know, the Şengün's, like you have to give up one of Şengün, Zubac, Domantas Sabonis, even the Vuces. You know, there's enough good center plays you'd have to give up, but Jang would be compelling. As I mentioned, we have the Stokastic minutes is what I use. He's at 13.6 minutes, so I do have him in. Top 150 overall, actually top ROIs overall. Right, nobody with a positive ROI on the slate. Closest Aaron Wiggins at negative 0.8%. Overall exposures, though, you're getting Şengün in 95% of lineups. Again, they have been 50 flat, so Şengün is getting into all of the stuff Stokastic is going to give you today. Amin Thompson in 79% of lineups. These guys should be the biggest beneficiaries with Van Vliet out there. I still think Jalen Green gets a little bit more they're giving credit for right now. But Amin Thompson, if he were to start, I think would look appealing. I don't think he does, or I don't think it's a guarantee that he does. I think Reed Shepherd is very live to start, based on him being Van Vliet's direct backup. Aaron Wiggins, you're getting in 53% of lineups, so it's basically Şengün everywhere, Amin Thompson mostly everywhere, Wiggins in about half, Tari Eason in about half. They do want you to get more than double the amount on Wiggins, though. Dort getting 41% compared to 25. I also got a lot of Dort, so I get that. SGA, 41% compared to 25. Jalen Green, 37% compared to 20. Nick Claxton, 37% compared to 29. Fox getting more than double, 36 compared to 17. Dylan Brooks flat. Or no, Dylan Brooks about 10% more. Ben Simmons about double. All right, so there you go. I don't know what to make of all that. I mean, Houston going to be really chalky, not a surprise there. I think the main thing to take away from it is that Stokastic feels like, and their sim product in particular, feels like the Houston chalk for Şengün and Thompson's really good. It does not seemingly feel that way about Jalen Green. Actually, no, 37% Jalen Green too. So it's just saying get Houston, I think would be the main thing. Because you're getting Eason more than the field. Well, said Houston matters. Getting Shepherd. How much are you getting to him? You're getting Shepherd less than the field, unfortunately. Dylan Brooks. Yeah, Dylan Brooks are getting more than the field. We did read that. How about Aaron Holiday? Aaron Holiday is minimum salary, projected not highly enough to be put into the player pool, it looks like. Aaron Holiday, I don't think would start. There's a chance he could, though. They could play him for a shorter version of Fred Van Vliet's stint and then bring in Shepherd off the bench still. Aaron Holiday, I don't know if he would get the minutes, but that's something I'd watch out for as well. Anyway, Aaron Holiday not making the lineup. So in general, Houston more popular for Stokastic. And it does seem like Şengün, Thompson, the biggest stands for sure, but Easton a good amount, Brooks a good amount. They want you to get Houston everywhere. All right, let's go over to Unabated next. Let's look at some prop markets. Hopefully that helps you guys on the DFS front enough. And let's go see what we get in the world of Unabated. And of course, we got to run the conditional NBA projections video too, so you know exactly what you're getting into. But let me log in here. And here's the world of Unabated. Let's go check it out. Of course, Unabated helps you put on the show. So if you appreciate this content, if it helps you make better DFS lineups, make sure to go check out Unabated yourself for their conditional NBA projections led by Justin Fan, the guy who basically has made all the alert systems you get on Twitter, both Fantasy Labs, Underdogs. They use the thing that he created over there. And now he's doing all of his stuff over at Unabated, including projections. And if you want to learn more about Unabated projections, well, boy, oh boy, do I have the video for you. Dig deep and you click around. Press whatever you want, the experts will tell you. Don't confuse them with experts, though. They don't like that. Dynamic conditional projections are huge, though, especially for markets. Bet on the player who is currently questionable, and then bet on the markets for other players if that guy's going to get ruled out. Real-time minutes, again, fake news, liberal media. You guys know the deal by now. Graphs. You want to see some graphs? You want to see some fucking graphs? We got graphs. Woo! Graphs is like a roller coaster of math. Who doesn't love a good mathematical roller coaster? I guess you don't really want your graphs to look like roller coasters generally. Anyway, talk dirty on chat all you want. Count your money. Go check out Unabated NBA projections. I don't know if my heart was in the read today. In the fake read. There you go. You come for the read. Okay, that's all I can ask. I don't know if I added value really. But let's load in the Unabated projections here. Just updated a few minutes ago. Let's see what we get. Your top lines right now for points props. My girl dog is a red rocket. Oh boy, we don't want that. You don't want it. Sounds like a swelling problem. It's like an honest reviews of the tools. Like, I love the tools. The video, the video's a little long. But the tools themselves, I got to tell you, again, a really well-built product. Very easy to get your lines in. Check it out, unabated.com. And again, use promo code SPLASH to get $30 off any monthly package on there. Not the weekly ones. People are abusing those. The video's perfectly long. All right, if you tell me so. Your top lines right now, the over for Tari Eason. He's projected for 12.9 points by Unabated, so we agree that he's a good play today. Over 11.5 at minus 110 odds, it gets you 9.7% EV. That's what this green part is here on Unabated's tool. So best line right now on FanDuel Sportsbook, minus 110 for over 11.5 points for Tari Eason, and it would be playable as well on PrizePicks, but a little bit less EV at 6.1%. Josh Giddey, over 11.5 points, projected for 13.5 right now by Unabated's data. 9.1% EV on over 11.5 at minus 128 odds. Available right now at FanDuel Sportsbook. Probably don't want to add it to your PrizePicks and Underdog card. Not quite enough sim EV there. Generally want it to be at least above 2, ideally above 8. Alperen Şengün getting value in under 21.5. 20.7 points is his projection. You get 7.3% EV for under 21.5 at minus 112 odds right now for Alperen Şengün, available on FanDuel Sportsbook. You could play this one on PrizePicks as well, under 21.5, but the EV here, a little bit extra juice makes it slightly less beneficial in terms of the expected value. Jabari Smith getting 6.8% EV on over 11.5. And again, you could see here too, even with there being basically like what, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours since Fred VanVleet got ruled out, the markets haven't caught up, and that's where the projections that Unabated does for you really do add a pretty big value to what you're trying to do betting-wise. So you can kind of see it in real time here, and I bet the EV was even better a couple of minutes ago when they first put their projections out, but then people start to hit it and starts to get a little bit faded down. But right now, Jabari Smith, value on over 11.5 points, minus 110 odds on DK Sportsbook, gets you 6.8% EV. Dylan Brooks, he has a 13.4 point projection. You're getting value on under 14 for him on PrizePicks right now, 6.5% EV for Dylan Brooks, under 14 points. Jalen Green, value on the over 22.5 points for him. He's got a 24.7 point projection from Unabated's projection team. That gets you 6.2% EV. And there we go. It's some of the main ones there. Free Reed Shepard. I don't know if he'll be freed today. Frankly, though, even if he starts, like, he's never going to be freed, really, because you have Jalen Green and Şengün taking away so many possessions. The way he would be, quote-unquote, freed would be him playing without those guys out there taking all the work away, because, like, his upside is pretty big, I think. Like, he does seem like a bit of a stat pattern in the way that we want in fantasy. Jalen Green, value on his under on rebounds. He's got projected for 4.5 rebounds by Unabated team. You're getting a pretty big value, 28% EV, 27.6% if you want to be accurate to the decimal point, on under 5.5 rebounds on PrizePicks right now. So I would put that absolutely at a PrizePicks card right now. Still 17.2% EV as well on DK Sportsbook, which you can see over here. Under 4.5 plus 120 odds, under 4.5 rebounds for Jalen Green. Tari Eason, you're getting 8.7% EV on his over 6.5 rebounds, plus 100 odds. Anytime you see this green, over 8% ideally, and it's a plus money bet, run to take it even more. Minus money bets, still fine too, but plus money ones in particular. Plus money bets are your saving grace. It means you're not getting charged VIG or you're getting some VIG going your way for bets that are functionally 50-50 bets. But here, Tari Eason, over 6.5 rebounds, 8.7% EV. Playable on DK Sportsbook at plus 100 with a 6.5 rebound line. Maybe a little bit less playable on PrizePicks with the juice going that way. It's a flip of 18% EV, minus 118 compared to plus 100. Yes, well, technically 1.8% EV, but whatever. Şengün, 6.5% EV on under 10.5 rebounds. Minus 118 odds. This one on PrizePicks makes it a good one to add to a pick'em. A little bit less playable on DK Sportsbook. Dylan Brooks, we're honestly getting out of the sim range here. Probably not any of these looking too good. Nobody else down here. Yeah, these would have sorted up if they were better ones. Jalen Smith, some value. Actually, you know what? Some value on Jalen Smith coming up here now. 12.9% EV on Jalen Smith under 5.5 rebounds. That one would be good for PrizePicks as well. But everything else here seems pretty well covered. Assists coming up next. Then we'll do PRAs to close it out. Of course, Unabated, you want this tool for yourself, check it out. Again, it is a great tool if you want to get good bets in, whether you're building for pick'ems or for actual sports books. It adds a lot of value for both. You can see how fast it works too, which is always the thing that I'm looking for in any of these kind of tools. Do I have to go all the way down so it loads them all? I'm wondering if that's a thing. So I feel like sometimes I'm not getting all the bets in. Here we go. All right, so let's sort this one more time. All right, top EV bets right now. Jabari Smith, 21.5% EV on under 1.5 assists today. He's projected for 1.2 by Unabated team. That's playable right now in an Underdog Pick'em. Does not seem like that's available on DK Sportsbook or FanDuel. Now, just an Underdog only line. For De'Aaron Fox, you're getting value in under 5.5 assists. He's projected for 4.8 today by an Unabated team. You're getting 19.5% EV, and that's available on PrizePicks Underdog, and you're also getting 12.6% EV under 5.5 assists on Underdog, or under DraftKings rather, on minus 135 odds. DeMar DeRozan, you're getting 17.2% EV on under 3.5 assists. That's plus 132 at FanDuel. That's a lot of plus money on a bet with that much EV. 3.7 assists under 3.5 is the line, though, to take, and it's playable as well at PrizePicks with 14.5% EV on under 4 assist line. Şengün, you're getting 16.8% EV on under 5.5 assists for him as well. It's playable on PrizePicks and cusp playable on DraftKings Sportsbook with 7.8% EV on under 5.5 minus 142 odds. Amin Thompson, another one to add to Underdog, 13.4% EV on under 4.5, minus 118 odds for that one. Amin Thompson, they project for 4.1 assists. A lot of minutes too coming his way, but the projection line is still there. Under assists on a lot of Sacramento, they play a lot of ISO. It just feels like they're going to smash in that spot. It's just a projection thing. I don't think it's really more of a game script thing. Maybe a reflection more that they're going to share the ball less with Malik Monk out there, but I don't like that doesn't really make sense to me because Malik Monk kind of gobbles up his own possessions. I think that'd basically be it. Maybe Malik Monk not creating as much offense. He does assist a decent amount, so that could be part of it. Domantas Sabonis, you're getting 6.6% assists. It's the projection right now for Unabated. 11.2% EV on under 6.5 assists, plus 116 odds. And Josh Giddey, you're getting 10.5% EV on over 5.5 assists. They project him for 6.1. You're getting value at minus 104 odds. Over 5.5 assists, 10.5% EV for Josh Giddey right now on FanDuel Sportsbook. Last but not least, the PRAs. Let's load these up here and see what we get. They work fast again. Let me scroll down and give this one more sort. Tomorrow's games. We don't need those. All right. All right, highest EV on PRAs. We got De'Aaron Fox, 15.8% EV on under 36 PRAs. That one is good right now for PrizePicks. You're still getting some good EV, 11% EV on Underdog and under 35.5 PRAs for De'Aaron Fox. Still getting 10.3% EV on DraftKings Sportsbook for under 35.5 minus 120, and slightly better odds on FanDuel Sportsbook for under 35.5. So De'Aaron Fox playable on all the pick'em sites and our top two books, FanDuel and DraftKings. DeMar DeRozan, value on under 32.5 right now on Underdog. 15.3% EV there. The line is under 32 on PrizePicks. Still playable for DeMar DeRozan under 32 PRAs with 12.3% EV on PrizePicks. On DraftKings Sportsbook, you're getting 14.4% EV for under 32.5 at minus 120 odds. And then to FanDuel, looking okay at under 31.5. It looks like they just moved their line. The yellow flash means the line just moved, so keep that in mind. Amin Thompson, you're getting some value on under 27.5 PRAs for him, 14.2% EV, playable right now on Underdog, and not playable anywhere else, it looks like. Alperen Şengün, 10.9% EV on under 37.5 PRAs. That's playable on PrizePicks, and you're getting 6.8% EV, the same line on DraftKings Sportsbook at minus 110 odds. Actually, no, you're losing 1 PRA here. It's under 36.5 compared to under 37.5 on PrizePicks today. Coro, getting value for Isaac Okoro under 11.5 PRAs, minus 118 odds there, playable on Underdog to add to a pick'em slip on that one. And Keon Ellis, value on over 10.5 today for Underdog. So over 10.5 PRAs for Keon Ellis. You could add that to your Underdog card for today's as well. Anything else? I feel like we had somebody we were talking about in the chat that I wanted to look up, but now I don't remember who it is. And here's the other markets. I'm just showing you real fast. Some value on Mobley, over 29.5 PRAs. Tari Easton, over 19.5. Some plus EV on that as well. That's basically it for PRAs. That's basically it for this video, guys. So if you appreciate this content, guys, number one, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Number two, make sure to go check out Unabated, the tool that I show you on screen here. You can get it for yourself and get it even faster. Sometimes I'm a few minutes late here because I'm running through the rest of the DFS slate. If you want to get their lines and also every sportsbook available, you get it right now at Unabated. Go to unabated.com/NBA. Use promo code SPLASH on there or click the link in the description and it'll take you right to it. Of course, I'll be back at 5:30 today on Stokastic, so go get some data from Stokastic and come play along with me over there. No, that's a solver. That's Unabated. Here we go. 15% off on Stokastic's tools and data. Link in the description for that one, or use promo code SPLASH at Stokastic, and that includes all their sim tools, all their data tools. That's all available for you. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe before you go, guys. It does help you out a bunch here. Brand new channel. Try to get the algorithm going the right way. And of course, I'm here every Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. doing the best I can to show you my projections and data, compare it to Stokastic, take you through the prop markets with Unabated. Hopefully the most well-rounded video for you to make some money in betting on NBA. That is the goal here every day. So please show some love. And I'll be back tomorrow. Remember to gamble responsibly, even if it's always money time. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this show and its NFL sister, brother. Should I say sister? Because I'm a guy. And it's a cousin. Of course, check that out here on the Splash Play NBA or NFL channel, 11 a.m. every day too. I'll be back tomorrow with more, guys. Hey, enjoy your days. And of course, good luck. Bye-bye.